Hello, world. Welcome to Chats with Baba. Baba is a global term for elder or grandfather, and I guess at this point in my life, I can fit either category. The purpose of the podcast is to inform and empower parents of young Black children. The information is relevant for all children, but I target this audience simply because of some current concerns as a professional in the field, and I see so many Black children who are just falling behind. But again, it's important to understand that parents are the first and foremost teachers in the lives of children. And this podcast is to inform them how to release the natural genius that's in Black children. Black children have untapped and underdeveloped gifts. The quality of experience and continued exposure lays the foundation for life as it will unfold for them. The goal is to move from miseducation to high quality education, and we strive for excellence. This has been an interesting week. There have been a number of things that have taken place that's going to make some changes in education, and I'll speak to that in just a moment. The Olympics will be starting fairly shortly. And I've been reading about some of those who will be participating in the Olympics, and they trace where they are back to things that happened for them during the early years of development. They had a dream of wanting to perform in the Olympics, and their parents nurtured and supported that dream. That's one piece. We had the space exploration, where this rocket went up with 4 ordinary people who were astronauts, and they went into outer space, about 11 to 12 minute flight. Yeah, so the name is Bezos. And he's a billionaire, and this is something that he's been involved in for at least a decade or longer. It wasn't an overnight sensation. He's been at this for some time. And what I'm saying is, now that that's opened up, now that he's done that, that's going to jumpstart some other initiatives, or it will energize STEM initiatives in school. One of the things in there was an 82-year-old astronaut who had trained for this some 40 years ago. So you had the oldest and the youngest there. You had an 18-year-old who had no real training to become an astronaut other than to, have a seat on that flight. And you had a woman who had trained for this all of her life, was a jet pilot, fighter, and so forth and so on. So it opens up lots of avenues for young females to see her, and for younger folks to understand that you don't have to have all of that astronaut training, but it just will energize some of the STEM initiatives. So you have the Olympics coming up, you had the Bezos space exploration, and so I was excited about that. Within the next few weeks, schools will be opening up for the 21-22 school year. I want to spend a little bit of time in today's podcast giving some attention to a couple of the things I just talked about. The children entering kindergarten in the 21-22 school year will graduate in the year 2034 from high school. Add another 4 years onto that, and they'll graduate from college in the year 2038. That's projecting a little bit in terms of where we are and where they're going. And all parents want their children to be successful. All parents want their children to be successful. I spend an enormous amount of time talking about the early years because it's those foundational blocks that will enable them to fulfill some of their goals as they move forward. One of the things I want to mention is a young man who was recently signed by the baseball team in Washington D.C. It's I forget it's the I forget exactly what it is, but it's the Washington D.C. Team that signed him. He always had aspirations of being a major league baseball player. His dad was a mechanic, is an auto mechanic, but his father came home every day from work and spent time with him. Just spent time with him on the fundamentals in baseball. Fast forward 20 years later, Washington signed him. And ABC was, the media was following this story. So when he got his contract, he went to where his father was working in the mechanic shop fixing cars. And he said, Dad, they signed me. And they embraced, father, son, they embraced. And his father looked at him and said, your dream is fulfilled. All of that to say that young children do have dreams. Young children do have life aspirations. And a lot of that comes from the quality of time that parents spend with their children during the formative years. We hear a lot about readiness, preparation for school. Readiness in the generic sense essentially means children knowing their ABCs, being able to count, identifying colors, naming things, writing their first name, and so forth and so on. So that's the simple definition of readiness. But there's another piece that undergirds that, and it's the state of mind. How do you help children to develop a healthy attitude towards learning, a willingness to want to learn, and having a healthy state of mind in that process? What is it that families need to do to help children gain this state of mind? Well, I look as a grandfather back at my children who have children that are about to enter college. And so this is the third generation. And as I reflect on my own parenting skills and reflect on my daughter's parenting skills and her two children who will simultaneously be entering college this fall, if I had to add one quality to what I did, or one thing that I would do differently, is to add more time. I'd spend more time with them. I understand now, looking back, it's that quality of time. Not that I didn't spend quality of time, but I would put more time into it. As his father said with his boy, he came home from work every day and spent time with him. So one of the things I want to talk about is with children as a parent. And this is, let me qualify that and say this, folks who are part of the podcast audience. I'm not trying to say this is the way you should raise your children. That's a personal thing. But there are some elements that go into parenting that can make a difference in the quality of a child's life. And what I would suggest is that you have daily talks with your children. And the talk doesn't have to take but a few moments, but it's a time that's shared between you and the child. And your children look forward to having this time. It can be any time of the day or night. It can be while eating. It could be while preparing dinner, but it could be while riding in the car. But it's a time when you and your child can have an opportunity just to engage in a conversation. So you want to have daily talks with them. For example, my daughter, who is a communications director in the Fulton County Sheriff's Department, I called her this morning. Hey, baby. Hey, Dad. And I said, I don't want nothing. Just wanted to holler at you. Where are you going? She said, I'm on my way to Henry County to do a particular thing for the office. I said, okay, be safe and I'll talk to you later. End of conversation. Just a moment. of communicating with us. So it's important that you have those kind of quality interactions. The other piece of it is with young children now, recognize that they're going to explore and do things and make mistakes. And as they are into exploratory kinds of endeavors, they are also developing skills and habits of the mind. And it's important that you understand that they don't think as adults. They are still children. Their brain is developing, and they have not grasped and or developed all of the skills that will enable them to make decisions as they are progressing. But it's important for you as a parent to recognize where they are. And they also don't think like us. Okay, they're not young adults. They are children. And as they are making mistakes, these are mistakes of behavior, not misbehavior, but just mistakes that they have not had experience to understand the reasoning and logic behind what it is that they have done. So here again, your role and function as a parent is to help them to work through conflicts that they often have. The other piece of it is as they are working out different things, and this is I'm sharing with you what the research says. Often we will get a little short-tempered with them and inflict anger or our own thought processes of where we are. Depending upon the severity of the engagement, you can do some kind of harm. What we want our children to do is to mentally be healthy, mentally be sound. So we have to guide them as they are working through certain things as they are progressing. We don't want to punish them, okay? I mean, all conflicts have consequences, but we don't want to punish them. We want to guide them. We need to understand where they are, and there's an age difference in terms of how you talk to a 2-year-old. There's a little different the way you talk to a 5-year-old, which is a little different the way that you talk to a middle school child, which is different the way you talk to a high school child, because they have progressed through different stages of human development. They have progressed through their brain developing and working out certain decisions. And again, it all comes back to the quality of time that you spend engaging with them. Again, it's important to have family meetings to discuss and figure out things that that causes them sometimes conflict. We as adults, we will make mistakes. Being a parent is a tough job, but a parent who is caring and shows a sense of positivity, I guess, positiveness in their role will make a difference in the quality of experience that you have when you're engaging with children. So remember, let me go back to how I started this podcast out. We're talking about readiness with respect to not so much knowing incidental concepts and skills, but readiness in terms of having a healthy attitude about the desire to learn, a healthy attitude about the desire to want to know, a healthy attitude of being a parent. You know, those are the things that just undergird the foundation as children are growing and developing. Let me share a few things with you that comes out of the United Nations that talks about the rights of children. Do children have rights? Well, according to the United Nations, these are some of the things that talks about children in terms of their rights. They have a right to be born, to have a name and a nationality, and to understand something about who they are relative to their ethnicity and self-concept. Children have a right to have a loving family that will take care of them. All children. And I'm not talking about in terms of being wealthy and all, but they want a family that loves them and takes care of them. Children have a right to have a healthy and an energetic body. So it comes back to the level of time that you will spend with them, in terms of nurturing them on a daily basis. They have a right to play and enjoy their friends. It's nothing like watching children play. I could spend hours. I used to do it, just spend endless hours just watching children engage with each other and developing those kinds of friendships early in life. Children have a right to be protected against abuse and other incidents that impact their behavior and development. Children have a right to express their views, their opinions, and thoughts. Yeah, okay. It doesn't mean that they are being disrespectful, but children, want to be heard. They want to express their views and so forth and so on. So I guess what I'm saying is that with respect to a sense of readiness, it's a readiness in terms of having a healthy sense of self. It's readiness with having a healthy state of mind. It's readiness with respect to continuing to discover, explore, and examine and analyze all of the things that you provide for them. Let me go back. I've said on other podcasts some skills that you can teach them that will enable them to be successful in school and in life. A, pay attention. B, listen. C, start a task and finish a task. And 4, have the wherewithal to do those steps in sequence. So with that, as this school year is about to get underway, those of you that have young children who are going back to school, there's still some skepticism and uncertainty about masks and things of that nature, but you'll have to discuss this with your local school or local school board. But I would suggest to you that my website will have some additional information about this and my monthly newsletter. So I wish all of you whose children will be beginning school this year a great year, and I'll look forward to talking with you next week. Bye now.